This week, episode 255 of Stogie Geeks, we got a little bit of a reverse format. The first volume or section of Stogie Geeks, I'm going to talk to you about some listener feedback and some emails that some of our Stogie Geeks listeners have taken the time out to write me and ask me some questions. They're on some various topics. By the way, if you have a question for us, all you have to do is go to joeh@stogiegeeks.com. Flash me an email, and we can respond that way. And then the second section is going to be the Stogies of the Week, where I'm going to review what I've been smoking. Interesting smoking points, so you want to stay tuned for that. And then the third segment, we have an interview with Robert Holt from Southern Draw Cigars right here on episode 255 of The Stogie Geek Show.
This is a Security Weekly production.
Welcome to episode 255. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. The format this week is just a little switched around in the order. The first section, we are going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you directly about some listener feedback from some emails that have been piling in for a while at joeh@stogiegeeks.com. Then second section, Stogies of the Week, an awesome interview coming up with Robert Holt of Southern Draw Cigars. So thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Joe Hozempa. I have my laptop today there because I'm going to be reading some emails, and it's a little bit easier to read on a tablet for there. So this section, as some of you Stogie Geeks listeners have been known, I have taken on the position as co-host of this show with Paul since the beginning of the year. And, we're getting some good listener feedback. Again, all the emails can go to joeh@stogiegeeks.com in regards to the show and some comments. But I've taken some emails out that kind of raise some different concerns. So concerns and topics and stuff like that. So kind of bear with me here if you could. We have Daniel writes, he says, Joe, love the show and I listen to it every week. I heard you talk about the doc. Good interview. I agree with him about rotating lighters, and I understand your problem when it comes to lighters. I just want to let you know some of the tips that I have heard from a BOTL, that's Brother of the Leaf, about how to take care of your lighters. Now, keep up the good work, Daniel. So this is one of those situations where I have, throughout the past year, has said that I just cannot find a good lighter. I get gifted sometimes lighters that are, over $50, some of them that are over $80. And one of the things that Daniel told me was, number one, use good butane. Now, define good butane. He gave me a couple of brands. I've actually done that, and then I've actually switched. But another thing that he mentioned is that when you do the filling into the deposit here, what happens is it comes out cold. And he says, do you light it right away afterwards? And I says, oh yeah, of course. This is all over the course of some emails. And, I do. And he says, yeah, he goes, let it rest. And let me tell you something, Daniel. Ever since you told me that back since April 25th, I've actually have had this lighter, and this is, it's a pretty decent lighter, and it's been working. So that tip in itself, I use the brand of butane that you said I should, so for the fuel, and then from there, I pour it in, let it sit. I use another lighter if I'm doing it. And then like 5 minutes later, you light it up and you're good to go. So that was some pretty positive feedback that really resonated with me. And let me tell you something. He flashed me this email here on April 25th, and it's been going. And this is by far the longest time that I've had a lighter there. And it's starting to come unraveled. But anyway, it's still a long shot over there. Another one came there. I think this was pretty. This was a fun episode. This email is dated back June 30th. He put, "Hi Joe, you just did a rum pairing show where you were the host. I think this was one of the first shows where I was the regular host for there. You had mentioned Oasis rum, and that's the one that you always keep on your counter. I never caught the name of it. I think it's Oasis. You also mentioned that you were talking about the Mount Gay rum, and you said that it was good to pair. I specifically, this is Tony, he specifically likes to pair rum with Ron Zacapa 23. My thing is Tony, who doesn't, right? Ron Zacapa is a great choice when it comes to rum pairing. But see, you know, here on the Stogie Geeks show, especially from my perspective, when I'm giving a review, either be it, you know, we're going to use this alcohol or if I'm doing a Sticks of the Week review, one of the things that I like to do is I like to consider price as a factor, you know, to have it both. Okay, if you want to splurge yourself, go Ron Zacapa, knock yourself out. But there are the point of the rum pairing show was to let the Stogie Geeks listener know that you don't have to go buy rum at 50, 60, 80, whichever. You can buy it at regular price rum, and regular price rum, something that's in your consumer warehouse there. You know, you can get that, and it'll go good. You know, that was the point. I also did that. I also did a wine tasting one where I didn't use super expensive wines because personally, I do mix wine with cigars. That was a pretty good episode too. But he wanted me to answer this question because he did throw Oasis rum and didn't go into Google. I think my Italianness, and I'm answering Tony, came out. Oasis was the solution that you mix with the rum. So in other words, like if you were to have a margarita or if you were to have a strawberry flavored daiquiri or anything like that, Oasis was that. It wasn't specifically Oasis rum there. And in regards to the rum that I keep on my counter, I actually do use the Boot Black brand, which if you missed the episode, that would go back to last episode 254 of Stogie Geeks. That is on my counter, and the Papa's Pillar is on my counter there. And then also in regards to tequila, because I mix both of those with the Boot Black brand, I usually go with any Blanco tequila. I'm not really going to start naming names there, but, you know, I actually had a client where we did a tequila and cigars pairing, and that might come soon in 2018 because we've already done wine and we've done rum, and we always have old fashions here. So, yeah. Another one I want to review here. This came up pretty cool. This was from John. He said, Joe H., you were talking about some cigar, which was a combination of a Liga No. 9 and a Padron 1964 made by Nat Chico. I tried to Google the cigar, came up empty-handed. Your experience sounded very interesting, and I was wondering how I can look into the cigar. Been a long-time listener. Thanks, John. And I did respond to John at that time and gave him the actual link. But, you know, it kind of got me thinking in regards to, okay, you know, sometimes when we're giving Stogies of the Week, you know, if there's three of us, we're going back and forth all the time. We're flashing, you know, the name, we're giving commentary. So that was a Nat Chico cigar. And the Nat Chico cigar makes a bunch of different lines of cigars. I have a couple of shop owners here in the Province Metro that kind of, you know, I'm blessed enough to have a good relationship with them to where they kind of give me stuff, you know, and say, oh, well, why don't you try this? And I actually came across the Nat Chico cigar, and they make the one specifically I was talking about, which if you go to natchico.com, you'll be able to find it. But I don't think that when you throw it into Google, you think it's Chico like CHICO. No, it is spelt Nat, Natcicco. So Nat Chico, right? I'm not up on Spanish. I'm full Italian, if you haven't noticed already, right? But it's Nat Chico, CHICCO.com. And if you go there, They have a bunch of cigar lines that are kind of interesting. The one specifically for this email was the Anniversario 1965 Liga number 4. Now, if you Google that cigar and throw that in, you end up finding out that there's a little bit of bad blood with the name of the cigar. Obviously, because it's combining two very big powerhouses there, and that's between them to go forth. But they also have some other sublines, which I've had off the top of my head, the Cuban Legends, and they've also have the Jamaican Rounds. I never really got into that, but they also have some rejects, which I think are pretty neat cigars. So check them out whenever you have a chance. It's NAT Chico, or Chico, and that's spelled NATCICCO.com. Another issue came up. This was pretty cool. I've had Carl email me with a local shop find, and I love these emails. He just said, Scotty's at my local shop, and I just wanted to send them your way. Carl had the limited edition Lintz Sampler from Rocky Patel. It comes in 10 different Lintz. He sent me a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. I'm assuming that was probably right after our Lintz episode. And let me tell you, we toggle on this a bunch when either Joe D or Paul is on the set, where we speak about Lintz cigars. And here in the Northeast, they're a little bit tougher to... They kind of seem seasonal, but also from a sales perspective, some of the consumers don't really flock to them. And my suggestion to you is, when it comes to Lanceros, they are a unique cigar. It's a unique experience, and you owe it to yourself for a treat. But they're not portable, and what I mean by that is, you want to sit down with them when you have a chance to sit down, relax, and just smoke a cigar. You can do it with some friends and whatnot, but if you're out in your garage, or you're fishing or golfing or doing something, cutting the grass, a Lancero can require quite a bit of work there. But in regards to this limited edition sampler, I've actually came across this myself, and to respond to Carl, I never blown through all 10. I've had a couple that were gifted to me, and or I have some friends that will purchase some stuff, and we'll get together and then split them, and that's one of the joys that I like about the Stogie Geek rating that we have here when we do our sticks of the week. I like when we say box split or box split with a friend, because I really think that you owe it to yourself from your experience to actually do that. I want to go over a couple more emails, so please bear with me, because one of them gets into a situation that's happening down in Naples. And this one comes from Russell. Russell says, Joe, down here in Naples, we are starting a movement, and we need to spread the word so we can try to go for some support and then leverage towards a win. As one business, we cannot win the majority, but we can always fight. We have noticed that on Facebook, this is a very good point here. We have noticed that on Facebook has blocked some of our content promoting cigar events. Interesting, right? Owners and then he asked me not to use the name of this specific cigar shop down in Naples, in 2016 had 1,600 followers. Now in 2017, he's well over 2,000 followers on Facebook. Okay, I like where this is going. Business is growing, right? When he posts, when he has more people, it seems like we're getting less and less likes, and Facebook is still trying to promote us to advertise for it, even though the owner said that when they tried to promote the cigar event on Facebook, Facebook has not allowed the content to actually go through. That's going to get to my point over there soon. Okay, so it's happening again. Sometimes we cannot boost. However, I have a couple friends who are in the music industry, and when they post, the posts tend to go everywhere, and let alone if you're a cigar shop, they kind of gets back. It kind of gets back there. So, what are your thoughts? In 49 states, it seems to be that Naples, Florida, tends to get the less likes when it comes to Facebook. Now, I'm gonna disregard that last comment because realistically speaking, we don't have enough data to say, okay, if there is, if the post and likes are not being frequented on everyone else's Facebook walls, however that works there. But I can tell you that, realistically speaking, Russell, from Naples, when it comes to alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and Facebook specifically, since we're talking about Facebook, some of the posts do get rejected if you try to boost them, and some of them do get kind of limited over there too. My suggestion is pretty simple, okay? That's Facebook's option, okay? So if Facebook wants to ban or have posts subside or not be able to promote cigar events, Facebook has all that option. If you're a business owner, you need to tell the cigar shop owner of that business that, it's basically you throw your jabs at Facebook, you step to the right or left, right? I always jab and step to the left because, I'm a southpaw anyway, right? But, if a shop is just using Facebook, they got some other issues going on there too. Maybe the shop should consider doing a website, logging on, signing up to the email, blasting it through the email. That's another workaround. I've actually turned on a bunch of local cigar shops in the province metro because that has come up as well. One more I do want to review with you here. It was from the Carlson Sereno episode. It says, I really appreciate Wesley. Wesley seems to write me a lot, right? Back in April, he said he wished I would stop talking about tennis shoes and stuff. I appreciate the feedback. But however, Wesley says, hi, Joe and Paul. I appreciate your frank reviews on Stogies of the Week. No sugarcoating with many reviewers that you seem that. Let me start this all over, right? I appreciate your frank reviews on your Stogies of the Week section. You guys have no sugarcoating, which many reviewers online seem to do. Things are especially enjoyable when you have an in-studio guest who actually joins you for the Stogies of the Week. One of the things that, sometimes it just works out that way, Wesley, it's one of those things where, if the guests can stick around, I think it certainly adds. But you also got to consider from a business perspective, it puts the reps on the spot, and sometimes people don't like to be put on the spot. I personally don't mind it. I'm good with it there too. So, but when we do a review, it's so nice to have that feedback when there's a bunch of people over in the panel here, especially if it's like two co-hosts and a guest. It is the magic number for sure. So, this one. Well, one more. George has some old Monte Cristo Royal tubes that he wants to send us here at Stogie Geeks. They're in the original tubes. He actually got them in a box of 10, and he wants us to actually do a review of them. So I'll be sending him an address here for that, and we appreciate the opportunity. I've had a bunch of stuff. It's kind of like I have personally me. And I can only speak for myself here on the show. When cigars are either gifted to me, I usually put them in rotation. I like to get to them quicker than some of the other ones because I like to thank them quicker as well. But that's just me. And it's great because what I like about the emails that come in, and I'm going to tie this all up now. What I like about the emails that come in is especially the ones where some of the listeners just take a picture of a box and say, have you had this? Have you had this? Have you had that? What do you think? And it's amazing how geographically some of the cigars that are relevant in their geographical section might not be players within our section, and then vice versa. And that's what I like about the forum that we have here, where we're able to communicate with the Stogie Geeks listener. So that being said, any episode, if you have any question, please email joeh@stogiegeeks.com. If you want to speak to Paul, you can go paul@stogiegeeks.com, or Joe D. It's pretty simple, Joe D@stogiegeeks.com. Stay tuned. Next, we have my Stogies of the Week, and then we have that interview. Stay tuned.